Can you believe what I'm about to tell you? Just when you thought the NBA offseason couldn't get any wilder, a seismic shift is rumbling through the league, threatening to redefine the landscape of championship contention. We're talking about a potential mega trade that could send shockwaves from coast to coast, potentially bringing two NBA superstars to reinforce none other than the Golden State Warriors next season. Are you ready for this? Remember that missile? That perfectly aimed, utterly devastating criticism launched by Dwayne Wade at Jimmy Butler? You make $60 million and you simply refuse to look at the basket when your team needs it most. Ouch! That wasn't just a lukewarm take that washes over sports debates like a gentle wave. No, this was a surgical strike, deep, revealing, and uncomfortably true. When a Miami Heat icon, a champion, a born leader known for his unflappable mentality, decides to go public and expose a former teammate like this, deep down that something is fundamentally wrong. And let me tell you, behind the scenes in the NBA, no one is treating this as just another opinion. The target of this scathing critique, as you know, is Jimmy Butler. And the backdrop of this unfolding drama? The Golden State Warriors, a franchise historically synonymous with excellence, but one that this year ended things on a truly melancholic note. Emotionally swept away by a fierce Minnesota Timberwolves squad in just 5 games. What did we see in that series? Flashes of talent, yes, but a complete, utter absence of leadership. What remained after the dust settled? Shrapnel. On one side, a confused, reeling team. On the other, a star whose hard-earned reputation as a playoff performer is beginning to quietly, agonizingly unravel. But to fully grasp the devastating impact of Wade's criticism, we need to take a few steps back. Jimmy Butler had already faced criticism in Miami. More than that, he was let go. And according to Wade, it was never about injuries. It was about something far more insidious, behavior, attitude. And now, seeing the exact same patterns repeat themselves, albeit in a Golden State Warriors jersey, Wade finally decided to speak his mind, and he didn't hold back one single punch. On the show Timeout with Dwayne Wade, aired just this past Monday, the former point guard made it unequivocally clear Butler disappointed again. I didn't like the way he approached playing at a high level with rare aggression. I know he likes to get his teammates involved and wants to see them shine, but there comes a point where you're making $60 million. The offense isn't working. You have to take over. If you follow this channel, you already know this is where things get deadly serious. Hit that like button, subscribe, and definitely drop a comment below. Do you agree with Wade? Did Jimmy Butler truly fail as a leader in Golden State? Statistically, Jimmy had a decent playoff campaign, 19.2 points per game, 6.6 rebounds, 5.2 assists. But as Wade so eloquently made clear, the problem isn't in the averages, it's in those crucial, defining moments when he simply disappears. And the criticism isn't isolated. Wade exposed a deeply troubling pattern. According to him, the same hesitation, the same passivity had already been seen against the Denver Nuggets in the 2023 finals. And before that, in the 2020 bubble, Butler was the complete opposite, aggressive, relentless, a pit bull in Wade's own words. But now, in San Francisco, he didn't even look at the basket. That baffling change in attitude is what stings the most for someone who once mentored him. Wade insists, I don't want to see that. Jimmy Butler is too good to go scoreless in a game. He adds, when it's time for you to dominate, it's time to dominate. And even if you fail, if it's just a matter of missing shots, I don't care. Shoot. The silence in the Warriors' locker room after the series against the Timberwolves was absolutely deafening. Stephen Curry, still recovering from injury, didn't make it back for Game 6. And Butler, it was his time to step up, to make that massive investment count, to prove he was still that guy. But that's not what the world saw. And so, Dwayne Wade did what no one in Golden State had the courage, or perhaps the mandate, to do publicly. He took responsibility and called it out like someone who's been in the trenches, who understands the ruthless demands of playoff basketball. It's bad offense if you don't shoot when your team needs you. He does a good job finding shots for his teammates, but there are moments where they've done all they can and you're the guy. This statement, my friends, is key to understanding all the simmering frustration surrounding Butler. Wade, who was once a mentor and a true leader in Miami, saw the exact same script play out on two vastly different teams. And it wasn't just about basketball. It was about identity, about that pivotal moment when a player must transform from facilitator to killer, from passer to finisher. And according to Wade, Butler fails at that crucial, defining moment. What's most shocking is that this criticism came from someone who truly knows him, someone who has seen him shine, who knows what he's truly capable of. And precisely because of that intimacy, the weight of his words is immeasurable. Wade saw Jimmy at his absolute peak, and now sees someone who appears to be deliberately hiding his competitive fire. Warriors fans expected Jimmy to be the leader, the gritty veteran who would give the team the push it so desperately needed in Curry's absence. But if what showed up on the court was merely a passive player, Wade's words simply gave voice to what many were thinking but didn't dare to say. With 2 years left on his contract, what comes next for Butler? We don't know. But one thing is absolutely certain. Wade's criticism was anything but random. It had a target, a purpose, and a crystal clear message. It was a mirror. And in that reflection, Jimmy Butler doesn't look comfortable at all. So, tell me, fan, do you agree with Wade? Did Butler truly fail in the playoffs, or is he being held to a standard no one can maintain forever? Drop a comment below. I want to know what you saw in that series. But while the Warriors deal with the open wounds of yet another early playoff exit on the other side of the conference, the calm in Boston is only apparent. Because if you look closely, the collapse has already begun. And unlike the public drama between Wade and Butler, the Celtic story is being written quietly, spreadsheet by spreadsheet, dollar by agonizing dollar. The phrase echoing through the hallowed halls of TD Garden is as clear and sharp as broken glass. Someone has to go. With Jason Tatum sidelined indefinitely after rupturing his Achilles tendon, and the ominous luxury tax of the second tier looming like a guillotine, the Boston Celtics face a cruel, unforgiving dilemma. How do you keep a championship-caliber roster without sinking financially and without completely dismantling the very identity of the team? More than that, how do you restructure now without losing the carefully cultivated identity built over the last 5 years? The answer, heartbreakingly, may lie in 3 names: Jrue Holiday, Kristaps Borzingis, and Derrick White. Holiday, with a guaranteed salary of $32.4 million for the 2025-26 season, is the most experienced of the trio. A champion with the Milwaukee Bucks in 2021, a key piece in Boston's 2024 title run. But now, at 34 years old, the inevitable question arises: how much longer can he truly maintain the same impactful level of play? For Brad Stevens, this weighs heavily. Every cent must be tied to performance and longevity. And once you're past 30, the margin for error shrinks dramatically. Borzingis is the other literal giant in the room, standing at 7 feet 3 inches, 2.21 meters. His towering presence in the paint was crucial for Boston, despite his still playing at a high level last season. But his greatest strength, his technical skill, is in constant war with his biggest vulnerability, his body. Injuries, wear and tear uncertainty, and a $30.7 million contract expiring soon. For many teams, this isn't a problem. It's an opportunity, a piece that can reinforce the roster now and come off the books by year's end. That's why, in the words of insider Mark Stein, the Latvian might be the most tradable veteran on the roster. But the name truly stirring the waters behind the scenes, the name that provokes sighs, fear, and even a twisted sense of excitement, is Derrick White. Yes, the very same Derrick White who became an instant fan favorite. The same one who's shown himself to be one of the most underrated guards in the entire NBA. The same one who defends like a pit bull, shoots threes with remarkable consistency, reads a game like few others, and is only 30 years old. His contract? A dream for seasons left with a player option, only $28.1 million guaranteed for 2025. By NBA elite standards, that's an absolute bargain. And it's exactly that, my friends, that caught the eye of an old acquaintance, the hungry, restless, and utterly unpredictable Golden State Warriors franchise. During Zach Lowe's podcast, journalist Logan Murdoch, a former Warriors reporter and current analyst for The Ringer, dropped the bombshell. Another guy the Warriors are watching is Derrick White. He can play defense, calm things down, especially with such a young group. And when he says that it's not just about skill, it's about mindset, because White is precisely what the Warriors desperately need for the next phase of their project. Someone who can bridge generations, a guard who knows how to manage ego minutes and crucial decisions, who plays smart alongside Kuminga, Podziemski, and Moody, and who can also share the floor if needed with Stephen Curry. But for Boston, letting White go is more than a technical decision, it's existential. Zach Lowe went straight to the heart of the matter. It's depressing to imagine Boston trading Derrick White. But that's the kind of agonizing dilemma they face right now. How much of a reset do they really want? Who will be here when Tatum comes back? Who has trade value today? Where does Derrick White fit into all this? Brad Stevens is acutely aware of that. He's not just a manager. He's the architect of the team that won the 2024 title. And right now, he lives a cruel paradox. To keep the championship window open, he may have to sacrifice one of his most solid, most reliable pillars. Still, according to insider Mark Stein, the Celtics are more inclined to trade Jrue Holiday than Derrick White. Age, contract, and profile make Jrue an immediate solution to ease the books. And Borzingis, despite his injuries, remains attractive to teams wanting to strengthen their front court with an expiring contract. But the market knows something Boston also knows. If there's one truly valuable piece on this roster, it's White. And the closer the offseason gets, the more those calls will come pouring in. Now, imagine what this trade would truly mean. White in Golden State. A new era begins alongside Kuminga. A new system, a new challenge. And on the other side, Boston trying to keep hope alive without its main perimeter defender, without its emotional barometer. Was this the true price of the 2024 title? The NBA is changing. The era of super teams with blown-out salary caps is crumbling. And in Boston, the bill has finally come due. So now I want to know from you, if you were Brad Stevens, who would you keep? Derrick White, Jrue Holiday, or Kristaps Porzingis? And more importantly, would you accept seeing White in a Warriors jersey? Comment below, because this discussion is going to absolutely ignite. But what if history repeated itself? But this time on an even more epic, mind-blowing scale. What if, almost a decade after Kevin Durant's earth-shattering arrival, the Golden State Warriors were about to make another move that would redefine the course of the NBA? What if Giannis Antetokounmpo, the Greek freak, was truly on the verge of forming a legendary duo with Stephen Curry? This isn't just an ordinary rumor, my friends. We're talking about something that's already shaking the balance of power in the league even before it happens. It's the kind of move that creates dynasties, ignites a final glorious act of hope in San Francisco, and could irrevocably change the fate of two franchises forever. Back in 2016, the world stopped. Kevin Durant shocked the basketball planet by announcing his move to the Golden State Warriors. That wasn't just a team change, it was a paradigm shift. The reigning MVP in his prime joined the first team in history to win 73 regular season games. The result? Championships, dominance, an era that left indelible marks on the modern NBA. Now, in 2025, there's a new whisper behind the scenes, growing louder by the day. Giannis, Warriors, Stephen Curry. All of this is on the radar of analysts, insiders, and league executives. And according to Brian Windhorst from ESPN, it's not just idle speculation. It's a quiet but very real plan, a package already put together, a possible move. And if Giannis decides it's time to leave Milwaukee, Golden State is poised, ready, and willing to act. But before we dive deeper into this captivating puzzle, if you're the type who never misses a twist, a hot rumor, or an explosive behind-the-scenes story, you know exactly what to do. Hit that subscribe button right now. Leave a like if you think Curry and Giannis together would be simply unstoppable, because what's coming next is a true roller coaster of information. Here's the scenario. The Warriors aren't favorites, but they are meticulously prepared. They're not in a rush, but they have a precise plan. And that plan starts with an offer no other Western team can truly match. Jonathan Kuminga is the first piece. At just 22, he's already proven to be far more than just a role player. In 2024-25, he grew exponentially as an offensive creator, kept his defense at an elite level, and showed undeniable signs that he could be an all-star very soon. Milwaukee would see him as the perfect foundation for a desperately needed rebuild. But that's just the first piece. The second, Brandon Podziemski, a young point guard with a remarkably high basketball IQ, incredible court vision, strong rebounding for his position, and a playing style that perfectly fits the Bucks culture: intensity, intelligence, and selfless team play. Then comes Moses Moody, a 6 feet 6 inches wing with valuable 3-and-D skills and potential yet to be fully tapped. And finally, Tracy Jackson-Davis, the dynamic center who ended the season on a high note, showing aggression at the rim, a commanding physical presence, and veteran-level defensive instincts. Add all that to a truckload of draft picks. 2026, 2028 picks swapped in 2027 and 2029, plus the unprotected 2031 pick. And there you have it, one of the most complete, most compelling packages possible to try and land an MVP still in his prime. But the most impressive part, the most staggering detail, this package doesn't require giving up Curry, Draymond, or even Jimmy Butler, who is indeed part of Golden State's future plans. The core remains intact. The price would be high, yes, but strategically calculated. Behind the scenes, however, the gears are already turning. Giannis's contract is still active, but signs of restlessness are becoming glaringly clear. The accumulated injuries, the Bucks' lack of technical stability, repeated early playoff exits, and the advancing ages of Chris Middleton and Brook Lopez put Milwaukee at a critical crossroads. And for Giannis, who has publicly expressed that a priority is to compete for a championship, time is unequivocally running out. The most curious detail in all of this? Giannis recently appeared at a party hosted by Stephen Curry during All-Star Weekend. He was the only player there not on the Warriors roster. Coincidence? Maybe. But as Logan Murdoch reported, it instantly reignited the rumors, especially since Giannis and Curry share the same agency, Octagon. And according to closed sources, the Greek freak is genuinely intrigued by the idea of wearing a Warriors uniform. If that desire goes public, if Giannis clearly states he wants to play in San Francisco, the pressure on Milwaukee will become utterly unbearable, and the Warriors, discreet but entirely ready, will strike. But what if this trade really happens? Curry and Giannis on the same team. The most creative mind in the NBA alongside the most dominant body in the league. Draymond Green organizing the defense. Giannis attacking with brute force, and Curry lighting it up from the perimeter. It's a combination that defies any tactical scheme. Would it be the rebirth of a dynasty, or the consolidation of the last great charge before Steph's inevitable retirement? For the Bucks, losing Giannis would be excruciatingly painful, but this package would offer an immediate viable restart. Kuminga and Podziemski would give the franchise a young duo with extremely high ceilings. Moody and Jackson-Davis complete a solid rotation, and the treasure trove of draft picks would allow bold moves in the coming years. Not to mention Milwaukee would avoid long or problematic contracts. But the deadlock persists. Giannis has reportedly indicated New York as a preferred destination. The Knicks have a playoff-ready roster and interesting assets. The Nets, although less competitive, hold Milwaukee's 2025 pick, putting them in a strategic position. The battle will be fierce, but the Warriors are betting on a powerful, often overlooked variable: the player's desire. If Giannis says, "I want Golden State," that changes absolutely everything. And if that happens, Joe Lacob could repeat what he did in 2016, Make a decision that shakes the NBA's structure for years. It would be the franchise's boldest move since Kevin Durant, and maybe the final great chapter of the Stephen Curry era. Now, I want to hear from you. If you were the Warriors GM, would you be willing to trade Kuminga, Podziemski, Moody Jackson-Davis, and 3 first-round picks for Giannis? Or is that price too high, even for an MVP? Comment below. Your opinion might even appear in the next video. And if you want to know how the Knicks or Nets could potentially steal Giannis from the Warriors behind the scenes, subscribe and hit that notification bell, because the next bombshell could drop at any moment, and you'll definitely want to be right here when it happens.